we'll see.
Cool. And then I like to just double check and make sure we're live in the group. For anybody that is new, I am Leo Horton. I am a certified health and life coach and the creator of this group. And I have with me today Miss Malynda. Malynda, tell us a little bit about you.
So I am work full time. So I work in the shipyard. So I work full time. I've been married 30 years to my fantastic husband. And I have two amazing daughters. They're adult children. Noelle is 26 and Molly will be 23 on Friday. So we are, Noelle is a lawyer and just rocking her job and all that. Molly is building a beautiful house and we're wedding planning. So life is a little crazy around here just a bit. And I decided to branch out and start a new position at work. So I have that going on for me a little bit. So lots of changes. And then my husband officially announced that he's going to retire a year from October. So talk about just, overwhelming me with some
it all on
changes. Yeah. So that like I can get used to anything right away. So yeah, but just living my best life, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. Doing fun things like fishing trips and
yeah, fishing trips and camping trips and races. Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
So, I mean, we're not here just to chit chat, we are, but
well,
I would love to know a little bit, if you're willing to share a little bit about your history with your body and food and dieting and all of that, and what you're really struggling with before we started working together this year.
Okay. Yeah. It's been a long journey. Like, I think for me, I think I have spent probably 30 plus years dieting, and successful, but then all the weight would come back. And so I think that was one of the things that, I work with, Rachel at IGI Fitness, and she recommended me talking to you. And, because I just said, nothing's working. Nothing, macro counting, keto, calorie counting, Weight Watchers, Whole30, Jenny Craig, Ideal Protein, you name it, I've done it. And so, but I think it got to the point where I walked into the gym and said, I don't want to do any of it anymore. I cannot eat another chicken breast or another egg for breakfast again. I hate going into the pantry to even think about what I'm going to eat. I spend all of my days, using my Fitness Pal and tracking all my stuff and going, the only thing I really want is some berries and some yogurt and maybe some granola on top, but that throws everything out of whack in the, calorie counting or macros. And so I can't have it. And I'm just not liking life. I felt like I had to really miss out on everything. Like I had to literally plan the entire day. So like Mother's Day was a big revelation for me, and we were working together. And before it would have been, okay, I can only have this, this, and this. And then, oh gosh, now I've overdone it. So now I have to work out crazy for 2 hours to punish myself for sitting with my family and eating something that, and really the fellowship of what Mother's Day is, right? And so this time working with you, I just said, this is really what I want to eat. I want to have a sandwich bar. And so we did. We put out, everybody likes different things, and my husband doesn't like cold cuts, so he wanted a grilled cheese. So we made grilled cheese, and we had, some made sub sandwiches and some made just turkey and avocado sandwiches. And we just sat and had a great time. And it was probably the best Mother's Day that I've ever had, just because it didn't go into regret of all the things I couldn't have or shouldn't have, or what is this going to do? Now I have to go take more 2 hours away from my family to go exercise crazy to make up for it. And so yeah, I think that, um, it's been an interesting journey for me.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
all of like the classic, I would say disordered eating kind of habits of making food just be like this big thing. It's occupying so much brain space and energy, and like, yeah, just hitting that breaking point of like, hey, I can't actually keep doing this. Like this is not, it's not working. I'm not saying like the scale change, and my mental health is now like at, can't think of the word, being harmed, or,
Yeah,
it's like, it's taking away from the things that you love and value.
absolutely. Yeah, because it was hard because like one day I would be like, oh, I can't fathom eating another chicken breast. So I'm just gonna eat. And then by the nighttime, it was like, wow, you really overdid it. You really,
And then you start the beat yourself up cycle, and the like
yeah,
having like double down on restricting and over exercising to make up for it, and just, yeah, it's a cycle,
yeah.
right?
Or the next day would be like, I would be lucky to get myself to eat 600 calories, And so it was really opposite ends of the spectrum for me, you know? And then that wasn't sustainable, or I would be really hangry and my family would be like, just eat something, and so, yeah. And I think that's, you know, it's interesting because I think the first week that we were working together, I went out, my husband and I went out, and we sat down at the restaurant. He's like, oh, you're not having a salad? I'm like, nope, I'm going to have the hamburger and I'm going to enjoy every single bit of it. And I did. And it really, then we were able to go on to the next venue and just felt more in control and satisfied and just okay, with the whole thing. So it really, I've learned a lot over the last 3 months for sure. So yeah. So
Yeah, and that's like definitely kind of like the first thing is like, once you take the rules off, we have that, going into kind of wanting to eat all the things that we had previously said that we weren't allowed to have, and we're now like allowing us to
yeah.
have them. And I just want to like point out that like it's not as simple as that, and then the like not feeling guilty about it, right? Because you had a goal about a dress and a certain vacation,
Yeah.
and there is this fear, and it's like a totally valid fear, that, oh, if I start allowing myself to eat all the things, I'm going to balloon up, I'm going to gain all this weight and none of my clothes are going to fit, and like that's like the story that we create in our head. Will you tell us about the dress?
So the dress still fits. Yeah. So it's our 30th wedding anniversary and we're renewing our vows in Jamaica. And I had bought a dress, beginning of the year, maybe. And that's one of the things where we really worked on, because I was super hyper focused on the dress is not going to fit. I just know this dress is not going to fit. And you just said, okay, go try the dress on. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try the dress on and I'll report back to you. And so, yeah, I put it on and it fits and it's great. So,
Yeah, because when we're allowing ourselves to like have the things, and we're, also like paying attention to our fullness signals and not overeating, and we're not having those like big binges and the big swings, we aren't actually like necessarily eating that much more than we were before, cumulatively, like over time, right? It's just a little bit more regulated, right?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think the whole starving and the 2 hours of punishment of workout or whatever I felt I needed to do just to, make myself feel better wasn't, it was doing counterintuitively, right? Punishing my body and not giving it the nourishment that it needed. And so, I mean, now it's just, okay, my body's not fighting it. It's like, okay, it's just happy. Like,
Mhm.
so
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
What would you say are like the things that were like the most impactful for you, or like the biggest lessons or takeaways in our time together?
So one of the things that really was like the total light bulb moment was eating fast. Like within calorie counting and like Weight Watchers, you stayed away from fats. Like there was too many points. And for me, it was like, I'd rather have a glass of wine maybe in the evening than an avocado. I mean, to be honest,
Yeah.
that's, I looked at it, you know? And so you're like, I don't even remember how we came up talking about it, but I said one of the things that was tough for me was that my eating fats, I've noticed that my skin has cleared up. So before, my skin would get super dry. It would even split and crack and bleed. And so it was one of those things where I'm like, oh, you know what? For like a week, I had avocados on a frozen burrito because that's what I had time for, but not feeling guilty, just put the avocados on. And then I would have maybe some avocados on my salad or my sandwich, and then using olive oil to grill something. And I'm like, the only difference I did in my whole diet was adding the healthy fats, or maybe I would have some olives, like cooking dinner. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm really kind of hungry, so I'm going to have a few green olives. And the only thing that we could come up with, it was the fact that I was adding fats back in, and that really nourished my skin. And so I'm like, that is such a light bulb aha moment for me that it was like, I mean, I've even seen doctors and all they did was prescribe more creams and things. And my dogs are now running in the backyard, in the house. I can hear them coming. So they may fly the door open here in a minute, but it was, I mean, they would just prescribe me more creams to put on, steroid creams, and they would maybe work for a day and then nothing. Literally for 3 months now, my hands have not gotten dry and anything. So I think that was the biggest thing that I will carry with me forever, and would put out there. If anybody's scared of fats, don't be. Look at the healthy fats. And my hair has been more soft and healthy looking, my skin. So I'm a true believer now of the healthy fats.
Yeah, our body needs fats, and it's really, I think, beautiful that you can get like this really tangible result for yourself in like seeing like, oh yeah, like that one thing has made a significant difference for you. I think we kind of got on that track talking about like satiety and like making your meals a little bit more satiating for you, because you were, I suspect you were kind of just under eating, just trained into kind of diet mindset of like, this is all I can eat, and starting, but then getting hungry, like after breakfast, getting hungry before it's like lunchtime, right? And so just also bulking up those meals a little bit more. I think I remember you said that that also helped kind of with the snacking as well.
Yeah. So adding the avocados to, you know, the frozen burritos, or I even one time made some homemade burritos and just put them in the air fryer and then heated them up later. But having that, and then we talked about maybe back to, I'm gonna have the berries and yogurt and granola on top. And I said, but it made me, I was still hungry. I mean, even though it was a kind of an okay bowl of, you know, I looked at it, I was like, this is a huge bowl of, you know, parfait thing. And you're like, oh, add some chia seeds. And I'm like, what? No, I don't want to do that. You know, and you're like, throw the chia seeds on there. And I'm like, okay, I just happen to have some in there, you know, but throwing those on there, and some flax seed on there totally made the difference. And then I think you even said once, if you're hungry, go fix some more. Go fix some more. And I was like, oh, really? Okay, I can do that. So
yeah, your body's telling you it needs food, and we get to honor that. Yeah, I think one of the other things that trying to remember what else. There was a moment with a piece of candy.
Oh yeah.
That you're like, I've been wanting this thing all day and I'm not letting myself have it. And what did I make you do?
Yeah. So I had gotten somewhere a deal of lemon drop hard candies. And I'm like, I was after lunch or something. I'm like, I really super want a lemon drop. Like, okay, you just ate lunch. You can't be hungry, just give it a little bit of time. And I'm like, but I'm working and the lemon drops were here on my desk. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to have it. Okay, I really need something sweet. So I went and got a couple Rainier cherries. I'm like, that'll be good enough. And then we met and I'm like, I still can't get the lemon drop off my brain. And you're like, have the candy. So you did, you made me, you're like, go get it. And I'm like, oh, well, it's right here. So I just opened up the desk and look right here still.
See, okay, now that's amazing though, right? Like that you still have that same bag
Yeah.
of candy in front of you. We're now like a month or two later, right?
Yeah.
And even like that in and of itself, I feel like when we're kind of really stuck in diet mentality, like that's either going to be gone because we like couldn't control ourselves and we like ate it all, or we like throw it away or hide it to like get it out of our sight so we're not tempted by it.
Yeah.
And yet you're able to like sit there with this bag of candy in front of you every day and you're like, cool, it's there if I want it. And if not, cool.
Yeah. And I do work from home some, so more from home than in at work. And so that is pretty good that it's sitting there. And yeah, I don't feel like, I mean, it's definitely not calling my name right now, so I think that's good. But I also think I also give myself permission to, if you want the lemon drop, because we talked about that lemon drop and the handful of cherries that I might have had in relation to each other, probably were equal in that, right? And
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's probably about like the same amount of sugar. I mean, sure, cherries have some extra nutrients and fiber maybe, but if what ends up happening is you have the cherries and then the itch is still not fixed. So then you go and you try something else and then that doesn't fix it. And you go and try something else. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, just give me the thing. And then you're going to eat them like nonstop. And so it ends up cumulatively being a lot more than if you just had the drop in the first place and just satisfied that craving.
Yeah. Because that day, all I had was the one. And I was like, golden, I don't need anything else. So yeah. So that's totally helped. I think the other thing is that I would have said 3 months ago, we're very big dessert people. Like I have to have dessert. So I have to save, a good 100, 200 calories for 7:00 at night to have that dessert, and giving myself permission to whatever, have the dessert or don't have the dessert. I'm really finding that the last month, 2 months, after dinner, I'm just like, I'm good. I don't need anything else. So that, dessert afterward hasn't happened. And in fact, my family even commented on it. They're like, you're not having dessert? I'm like, no, or maybe I might have a few extra little pieces of watermelon or something like that. I'm like, totally good. I don't need anything, which 6 months ago, forget it. I would have told somebody never going to break me of that habit. So yeah.
What surprised you the most about the coaching process?
Well, I think there's a few things that come to mind, but I think just your openness, because I think you had a plan at times, right? And then I would start, you're like, so tell me about how the week went. And I would be like, bleh, here, or yay. And then we kind of would, but you never made it about your agenda. It was always about my kind of what I needed. I wouldn't say agenda because I didn't really have a concept. I've never heard of intuitive eating until you and I started working together. So I think that was one of the great things about working with you, was that you really put my needs or the things that you recognized as a need, because I would have been like, I have no clue. Like, just give me the rules and let's go on. Right. And so I think you really helped me, like, eat the lemon drop, just eat it. Right. Really helped that.
Well, that's like the big benefit of doing one-on-one, right? So I do have a group program. I'm going to be doing another one in August. But the one-on-one, it allows for just more flexibility and like meeting you where you're at, right? Like, yes, I'll always come prepared with what I feel like is the next like step for you in your journey. But if you've just had like a total meltdown in the dressing room at Nordstrom's, it's not appropriate to be talking about like, how your food tastes, like finding satisfaction in food, right? That you have a bigger issue that we need to be addressing. And so, yeah, it is the one-on-one format is beautiful to be able to do that and there's more allowance and like what we can tackle versus like the group is a little bit more like structured of like, there's a curriculum that we're following, right?
I think the other thing we worked a lot on is I was a big negative food voice fan. The food police came out a lot in working. I mean, there was even times where we talked about that, is and working more towards the positive sides of things. And my favorite thing that you always said was, isn't that interesting? Instead of going to the food police thing, just really focusing on, oh, okay, that's interesting, and that was something that probably will stick with me forever. It's like, oh, so I didn't have time to really do a well-balanced meal or something, and I'm hungry, and so I can tell myself now, isn't that interesting? Instead of really putting myself down and feeling like a failure. When reality, it's just an opportunity to learn something new and make a small tweak here and there. Nothing's going to be perfect every day, but really recognizing, that isn't that interesting, and make those tweaks where you need to. So.
Yep, it's all feedback.
Yeah, and that was the other one I was trying to think. There's no failure, only feedback. So your legs are sore. You may have overdone it, maybe just a bit, So isn't that interesting? Here's some good feedback for you. And so that was one. And then probably my best thing that pops up in you don't have to, when you said you don't have to tell yourself to go to the bathroom or to go to sleep, you just do it. And I'm like, that's so interesting, and relating that back to food, and really feeling your fullness or feeling when you're hungry and eating. I was a big one where it was like, oh my gosh, it's not 12 o'clock yet. I can't, I may have eaten at 6 o'clock in the morning, and now it's noon. I can't eat until noon. But I'm so hungry. And just then it was anything that you could grab and then some.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that was one of the points that definitely triggered okay, that makes sense. And I could get behind that.
Yeah. So just if anybody's wondering what what Malynda's talking about is basically like when you have to go to the bathroom and your body's like telling you, yeah, we have to go pee, right? You are not judging that and saying like, no, you don't, you can wait, right? And like as the urgency increases, we know, oh, okay, like now this is like a problem we need to like deal with, or else we're going to have an accident. And it's just a physiological response that your body has. And so hunger is exactly the same, where it tells you like, okay, we're getting hungrier. Okay, we're getting hungrier. And the longer you go without addressing it, it's going to turn into an accident.
Yeah.
And we have those same hunger, the same physiological cues from our stomach, but we have trained our brain to say, no, you're wrong. No, you're not hungry. You're thirsty. Drink some water, or you can wait. And it tends to like backlash, right? And where we end up overdoing it, or that's like, if you get like a lot of like nighttime munchies and stuff, it's because you've like kind of deprived your body throughout the day. And it's like, hey, feed me, give me whatever you've got. And all of that willpower has kind of depleted. And so you feel like really kind of more out of control, versus if you had just like listened to your body to begin with and like catered to its needs, then we don't have a problem.
Correct. Yeah. So I don't know. There was just so much, like the emotions wheel. There was just so many things I could go on and on about. Like, it's awesome. Like, oh, really focusing on why am I feeling this way? And it was interesting because I think at the very beginning, you and I talked about when you say feel the feels, I'm like, I instantly go to the negative feels, right? And you said, well, you can't have the negative without the positive. So yeah, today you may be feeling stressed, but tomorrow you're going to feel calm, and so you and I really focused on just, it's okay, sit with it for a minute, feel the feels. It's not always, there again, the negative food police, oh, the negative emotions. I don't want to. It's kind of, but I think feeling both sides of the spectrum are important. And also we could say, isn't that interesting? Because today you might be stressed out, and maybe see how your food, your different choices of food and things like that. So looking at it, just, isn't that interesting? Really made a lot of sense for me.
Yeah. Well, and I think a big part of that is just creating the pause to like take the moment to reflect on it, right? Because we're often just so busy and go, go, go. And we aren't like trained to check in with ourselves and our bodies and like think about emotions and how we're feeling physically. And so even just that small moment of creating the pause and building the awareness in and of itself can be really powerful, even if you don't do anything with it. Just like being aware, being like, oh, okay, that's what's happening. Cool. Good to know.
Yeah. And then we, you and I, one day I got stuck at work and I didn't have any food and I was so hungry. And so you and I worked on, I think that's when you sent me the snack list of trying to put together some snacks that could go in my bag, that so I worked on getting those things and just being a little bit more, okay, I'm not there again. I'm not afraid of the nut butters or having some nuts with an apple, and just kind of holding me over until I can get somewhere where there's actual a meal and stuff. So before, that would have never happened. It would have just been, nope, it's not in the calories, or it's for those nuts, it's going to be like 6 points at Weight Watchers. And that's like 2 glasses of wine. So we're not doing that. We're just not doing it.
Yeah. And I remember this is like years ago, I used to keep like little 100-calorie snack packs in my desk drawer. And like, if I got hungry, like I could have one of those, and it like never did anything, right? Like I was hungry and I'd eat it and I'd still be hungry.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had no concept of like creating snacks and meals to actually be satiating and like actually address the hunger. It was just like more of just the motion of eating something, more than like thinking about how my body is going to actually be fulfilled by that thing that I'm putting in my mouth.
Yeah. So it was definitely interesting. Just learning how to put those things together and really saying it's okay. Your body's hungry. Even just your brain needs these things to continue working and pushing yourself. And so there's so many things I could go on about learning from you. So
it's a lot, I think, like, and it's all very different than like what we're typically taught about food and our body. And I also just want to like normalize that I think you would agree that like your journey isn't over, right? Like this is just kind of, it's almost just like the tip of the iceberg where we're giving you the tools, but it takes time, right? Did we talk about like the 5 phases of intuitive eating, like becoming an intuitive eater? There's, I don't know if we did, but there's like the realization phase of like, okay, I'm ready to like actually do this thing. And then course, I'm going to brain fart it on, on it now that I'm like,
we might have, but we said we kind of I'm in the 2 or 3 kind of.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
like the second phase, we're, oh, there goes my dog. We are moving into like eating all the things, and we've taken off the permission. And so we just are, the pendulum is swinging the other direction. Right.
Yeah.
Phase 3 is like, okay, we're starting to like normalize a bit. We're like calming down, settling in, starting to listen to our body more, getting a little bit more comfortable with it. Phase 4 is like where things are really starting to crystallize, and it gets easier and easier. And some of the initial hurdles, we're losing a little bit of interest in the idea of play foods and like being, you know, the rebellious, eat all the things kind of stage. And then stage 5 is like really like, you don't have to think about food at all. You're just like a normal, natural, healthy relationship with food, like a normal human being.
Right. Right.
And I don't ever expect anybody to get from like phase 1 to phase 5 in 3 months of working together. Like that just doesn't happen, because it is a process. And so, yeah, I think you're like at about a 3, right? But you've got the tools and the support systems that you need to keep moving forward in that journey.
Yeah, I would agree. I still maybe feel like I teeter sometimes between the 2 and the 3. But more definitely in the 3, like, okay, you know, I don't feel like I'm going way off the rails. I think it was because I spent the 2 months or 3 months that we worked together more going, okay, give yourself permission, except for not eating the lemon drop, but you know.
Well, and everybody's journey is different. Like some people may be into the 3 or 4 by the time they're done with 3 months, and some people may still be in the 2. And either way, it's progress, right? A lot of that is dependent on our history with dieting, right? And you know, the longer history you have, the harder it's going to be to rewire our brain in how we think about food. But I mean, what I heard you say about the experience is like you're getting more joy out of food, right? Like you're actually enjoying things. You're more satisfied by what you're eating.
Absolutely.
Your skin looks amazing.
Yes. Yes.
And your hair and everything. You still fit into a dress that you had before. So no changes there, which is cool, acceptable, right? We didn't go off the rails. And I don't think we've really talked about it yet, but you did mention like feeling better about yourself and your body image, and you know, obviously not to where you want to be, but noticing that you are happier and a little bit more at ease with yourself. Did I miss anything that you?
No, I think that's right. I think, you know, I didn't, I mean, and you and I talked about the fact that I was weighing myself twice a day, in the morning and at night. I knew what I should weigh in the morning, what I should weigh at night. And
you took your scale camping.
I did take my scale with me camping at times. Yes. And, so we broke up, and I said, right now it's got to just go to the garage. And so, but just even that freedom, I didn't have to beat myself up as I went to sleep, or I didn't have to beat myself up all day long. I could actually look in the mirror and go, okay, all right, let's see what you got in store for me today, you know? And then we worked on hanging up positive affirmations, but like one of our first meetings was, I felt like I wasn't enough, you know? And so we found I am strong and powerful. And so just this whole wheel, and you had me hanging up on my bathroom mirror. So instead of getting on the scale, looking at that number that maybe would not cooperate with me, right? But I got to look at that I am statement and pick out how I was going to feel for the day. And so that really made a difference in the way I saw myself as well. You know, if I felt powerful, then I felt powerful all day. You know, if I felt like the number didn't agree with me before, then I would just beat myself up all day and look at myself negatively. And so that really, you know, starts my day off a little bit better. And that's the last thing I see when I go to bed. So, yeah, looking at myself way differently than my legs are strong. They get me from point A to point B. I'm able to go hiking. We went snowshoeing. It's just the whole, things along the way, where I'm like, I am enough for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And focusing on like what you can do, not like all the things that you're not.
Right. Right.
Cool. I do have, I think, one last question for you,
Okay.
because specifically for you. So when we started talking, Rachel referred you over to me, but you were like so on the fence about it. Like, oh my God, this is like going to be another thing that I'm going to do. And is it going to work? And there was a lot of like back and forth on making the commitment and investing in yourself in a different way other than like signing up for another weight loss program, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say is the thing that like, I guess, tipped you over the edge, or like, what would you say to somebody that is on the fence about working with a coach?
Well, normally put everybody else first. And so, or I was thinking, or I would say, the next quick fix or something. And I think you and I spent a lot of time about, okay, so it isn't a quick fix. It's going, it's a journey. But think about your 30 years of dieting and where you've been and where you want the next 30 to go. And so I was just like, okay, I'm finally going to say yes to myself and really went into it, yet a little nervous about the change or what was ahead of me, but it totally helped give me a better perspective of what life was. In those, I mean, it was 3 months, but like you said, my journey's not over. We're not over, working together. But just say yes to yourself, because you have so much more life to live. And it's just a small commitment that you're making in the big scheme of things, right?
It can like completely change the trajectory. I love that you said, like, I've been doing it this way for 30 years and it hasn't worked for me. And what about the next 30 years? And I think we so often don't look that far ahead, right? We're so fixated on chasing the next goal, the next thing, whatever we've got to get to. I think that's absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Might have to like steal that line.
Okay, good. You can steal it. I'll let you.
Thank you. Malynda, thank you so much for hopping on with me today. It's always such a joy to chat with you, and thank you so much for sharing your experience.
Yeah, thank you for everything. Just always being there and listening, or, helping guide me down a path, because I wouldn't be on the path I am if it wasn't for you. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, you are most certainly welcome. And of course, if anybody's interested in knowing what coaching would look like, you can holler, you know where to find me, drop a comment. And my books are always open for one-on-one. And I did mention that I am going to be doing a new group program starting in August. So if you want those details, let me know. Happy to send those over. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.